Hi, everybody. Good morning, you bright and shiny people. It's a bright, shiny day in early November. Really, it's November. Isn't that wonderful? And we have had the most extraordinary fall here in Santa Fe, and it has just delighted us with color and brilliance and sunshine, and I don't think it's over. Exactly. I agree with that. So our theme for the month of November is Thanksgivingness. And my talk title for today is Life is a Cornucopia. Now, how many know what a cornucopia is? Okay, so thank you for those that didn't raise your hands because now I get to explain it. So a cornucopia is now, that's not how it started, but I'm not going to go into the historical part. A cornucopia is a decorative item, and it's broader at one end than it is at the other, and it usually is placed as a centerpiece on a table or in a place of importance, and it's big enough to hold a lot of things. So it's shaped sort of like a horn, and it curls up at the end and gets smaller, and it would have been good if I brought one. Anyway, and so it's filled with bounty. That's the idea of a cornucopia, is that it is, Darla is going to her program, and there is a picture of one on your program, up in the right-hand corner. That's a cornucopia. All right. Jackie was way ahead of me. Life is a cornucopia. It's filled with everything. You know, when we're talking about living in the midst of all possibility, which, of course, is where we live, not just us. Everybody lives in the midst of all possibility. Not everybody knows it. We live in the midst of all possibility. And all possibility, including cornucopia, contains things that we love, things that we desire, things that we would welcome into our lives, and things that we wouldn't. It may contain something that isn't to our taste, to our liking, to our comfort. And that is exactly what life offers us, when it offers us everything. So what becomes important in the process of living is making choices. Making choices that sustain and support and uplift and expand our life experience. If we're making choices, if we're choosing things out of the cornucopia of all possibility that aren't exactly a fit, why would we do that? I wonder. Why would we do that? Sometimes we do it because we think we don't have an alternative. And we always have an alternative. Sometimes we just need to wait to know what that is. Rather than choosing, making an immediate choice because we think we have to. We don't have to. Now, I'm going to use Laura as an example this morning. It just crossed my mind. Because, and I hope this is okay with you, I'm just going to trust it's okay with you. So Laura just came back from a trip that she was very much looking forward to with her family in California. And she has this amazing son, Gabe, and his wife, Holly, and they have 2 teenage daughters. And so she was all excited about going. Well, the very last day of the trip, she got an infection in her gum and had to have emergency oral surgery. Now that's kind of a have to, it could be argued. Because to wait until you came back here and then try to set up an appointment and deal with all of that, exactly. Were you flying with wings or in a plane? Okay. So that's kind of a have to. Wouldn't we agree? Mm-hmm. Taking care of something like that requires an immediate decision. But it still requires a decision. And taking the time, taking the moment to make a decision that we believe is going to be the most supportive of us under any circumstance is a worthwhile practice, because otherwise we're in reaction all the time. Mm-hmm. And we feel like we're doing something just because we have to. And nowhere is it written that we have to. We may have been told otherwise. You know, it's possible that somewhere along the line, particularly early in our life, that we were told, well, you know, you have to choose a real job. You can't write books and play music, Laura. You better get a degree and learn accounting. Because that other stuff, that's all nice and that's all pleasant and that's all amusing and that's all lovely, but it's not going to feed you. And it's not going to contribute to your family. It's not worthwhile enough. I had lunch with someone Friday that I hadn't seen in a long time, who has just released a new book. And actually, I may invite her to come here and do a workshop for us. But anyway, so we were talking about a lot of different things, and I've known her for quite a while, and she looked at me at one point in the conversation, far into the conversation. She looked at me very directly across the table and she said, "How long have you been wanting to write a book?" And I said, "I think since I started reading." Have I written a book? No. Have I even started a book? No. I've had lots of ideas for a book, which is what I said to her. I didn't give her the whole litany. And she said, have you written them down? I said, no. I used to. But then life happened, right? Life happened. I got real jobs and they were very demanding, and so all of that just went by the wayside. And now what I'm realizing is that, it's all well and good to say that this happened and that happened and the other thing happened and all of it just went by the wayside. But every single time I had to make a choice. Mm-hmm. Every time I felt inspired to start working on a book, I had to make a choice to not do that. Mm. Because I didn't have the time. I had other responsibilities. Well, that's all true. But people who write books, I have noticed, because I've known a few authors, and more than a few, and I've also read autobiographies of a few authors, and they manage. Mm-hmm. They manage to choose to write anyway. Now, they may not be someone who can sit down at a desk and spend the whole day writing because they have other responsibilities. But they find some time to show up for themselves and their creativity and to do it anyway. And so I started to wonder how many of us, out of the realm of all possibility, are abdicating our dreams. And I really, it doesn't matter where we are in our lives as far as how many years we've lived, which I could care less about. It's where are we in our lives in terms of how willing are we to show up for ourselves? Mm. And who else is going to do it if we don't? Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people who care about us who would show up for us if we needed them. That's an entirely different thing. Showing up for ourselves is an entirely different thing, because showing up for ourselves is our first call as a human being. But it takes us years, if ever, to learn it. To hear that call, that showing up for ourselves, to show up as ourselves, to show up in support of ourselves, and to only invite things into our lives that are part of that, it takes us years, if ever, to hear that call. So if some of you in the room haven't heard it, or some of you online haven't heard that call yet, I'm calling. I am here delivering the voice of Spirit saying it's time. If you're not going to show up for yourself now, when? I've been waiting. I've been waiting for you to show up for yourself. I've been waiting for you to show up as the fullness of yourself. I've been waiting for you to be available, fully available to the promise that you came in with, which is a fabulous life. A fabulous, delicious, irrepressible, amazing life. Now we look around us at other people in the world who are definitely not having a fabulous life. And we might say to ourselves, well, did they get the call? Or do only we get the call? Everybody gets the call. Because that's part of our arrival. That's part of our human delivery system. Is we all get the call to step into the fullness of what is available to us. Circumstances, cases, not the reality, not the capital R reality. The circumstances that alter cases are as factual as we make them. They're as factual as we make them. There are people in countries that we automatically assume are living in horrible conditions and are doing anything but thriving. And yet if we were to go there and we were to meet those people, we could find thriving people under the most horrific conditions. Mm-hmm. Because they heard the call. They may not know what to call it, but they know how to live it. Mm-hmm. And that's far more important than being able to give it words, is knowing how to live it. We spend all of our time together learning how to live. That's what this philosophy is. It is a way of life. It is a way of stepping into a life that is, we are meant to have, and we are meant to live, and so is everybody else. Mm-hmm. It's not about belief. It's about a way of life. It's not about this religion or that religion. That has nothing to do with it. It's about a way of life. Mm-hmm. And what we believe with all of our being, we are here to be, do, have, and share. Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm sorry if I've scared you all into total silence. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to scare you all into doing something different. Mm. Now, Monday, which is tomorrow, am I going to start writing a book? No. Probably not. But I don't know. What this conversation showed me is that even though I, of all people, think that I am living my fullest, greatest life, I am not. Because there is still a part of my life that is just lying there. It's like Denise's reading about planting seeds. I've planted all these seeds in this rich soil over most of my life. And I've never taken care of them. I just planted the seeds, and I thought they could do the rest. Well, it's not that they don't have the intelligence to do the rest, but I do need to do my part.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what showing up for ourselves is. That's what prioritizing ourselves is about. Prioritizing ourselves. What in the world is she talking about now? You've all heard me talk about making self-loving choices, or at least most of you have. Self-loving choices are the most important choices we make. No one else can make them for us. Self-loving choices are the most important choices that we make. Because those are the choices that feed us. Those are the choices that are part of showing up for ourselves. Those are the choices that lead us to here. Those are the choices that lead us to a spiritual practice that actually has some roots, regardless of how we do it. Science of mind gives us countless ways of creating a spiritual practice for ourselves so that we actually are replenishing that nourishment. We're actually taking care of the soil. We're actually taking care of the seeds every day.
Mm-hmm.
But are we too busy? Or do we have time? Do we make time? Do we choose time to meditate, to read inspiring material, to talk with friends who are on the same page? Or are we too busy? You know, being too busy is part of the cornucopia too.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cornucopia contains everything. And being too busy, I've finally learned, is a choice. It can also be an excuse, but it's really a choice. So what are we going to do differently? Or are we gonna? I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to you to make better choices for yourself and make yourself a priority. It's up to you to make self-loving choices and see how that feels. It's up to you to practice. And I'm right in there with you. And so it is.